Hello everybody, and just like uploads on this channel, Fantasy Premier League is back, and today we had price reveals for the first 20 players, one from each club. So today I will talk about them and then share my opinions on them at the end of the video. So first of all, at 12 British time, Erling Haaland's price was announced at 15 million. Now, thank you to Fantasy Football Scout. This is a great article for all the price releases. And as I say, it's the most expensive price for anybody in FPL history. $1 million more than anybody else. So that is very, very big. It's a huge sum of money. I'll share my opinion on it later. Then we have 3 newly promoted players getting released. I don't really have anything to say about them because I don't know much about them. Sorry, guys. So let's just move on. Then we have Kai Havertz and Richarlison. So these players were each midfielders last year, and now they are forwards. This is supposed to be a part of positional restructuring from Fantasy Premier League, and I think that's going to be a pretty important thing. Both of these guys went okay seasons, maybe a little bit disappointing by some of their standards, but Kai Havertz is a little bit more than Richarlison, but I think both could be good options. Then we have Anthony Semenyo and Callum Hudson-Odoi. Again, don't really have any opinions on this yet. There's both 5.5 midfielders, so it could be a good budget option. Then we had Mo Salah, right? And many people thought that Mo Salah and other wingers out there, like Heung-min Son, were going to be restructured as forwards, which would make a whole lot more sense because I think they're more attacking players than midfield players. But they were not. In fact, Mo Salah stayed the same exact thing that he was last year, 12.5 million midfielder. So, no big changes on that front. Then we have 2 goalkeeper releases. Jordan Pickford and Bernd Leno are both amazing players. They were great last year in terms of fantasy points. They both get a rise to 5 million. Then we have 3 more injured players last year that are back. They're all 6.5. Solly March, Christopher Nkunku, and Pedro Neto. And these are all interesting options. I'll talk about them later. Bruno Fernandes stayed the exact same. Ivan Toney has a 7.5, and more interestingly, Jean-Philippe Mateta rose 3 million, almost doubling his price from 4.5 to 7.5. Which makes sense. He did pretty well last season. It was a great budget option. It'll be interesting to see who takes him this year because he's more expensive. Then we have 2 great wingers in the Premier League. Anthony Gordon and Jared Bowen are both 7.5. Here's another example of them keeping wingers as midfielders instead of forwards. And these are both, I think, pretty good players. The one thing I watch out for is if Anthony Gordon gets transferred away. Might happen. And then finally, we have England's hero, Ollie Watkins, with a 9 million rating. And I'll start my opinions here and work back. So Ollie Watkins has 9 million, which is he rose a million, which is he should have. It was a great season for him last year. The big thing is he has 6 million less than Erling Haaland. So that he feels like, even though he's 9 million, he feels like a budget option compared to the big Norwegian. And it'll be interesting to see if he's taken even more this year than he was last year when he was really doing great. Then we have Anthony Gordon and Jared Bowen. I will definitely be taking Jared Bowen on my fantasy team because I'm a West Ham fan. But I think both of these players are good options in the midfield. The only problem with midfielders is there's so many great midfielders that it's hard to just choose 5. So, it'll be interesting to see what happens on that front. Then we have the strikers. To be honest, I probably won't take either, but I think Ivan Toney will be a very interesting choice going in, especially if he transfers to a bigger club than Brentford in something like Arsenal. Bruno Fernandes is still Bruno Fernandes. Probably won't pick him up. Solly March and Christopher Nkunku are both really, really interesting options, and so is Pedro Neto. But I'll talk more about Solly March and Chris Nkunku So Solly March was doing pretty well before he got injured last season. In fact, he was scoring really, really well and was helping Brighton to a top 4 at some point before he got injured. So I think he could definitely be a really good help to them and a help to maybe your fantasy team this year. Chris Nkunku was also injured for like all of last year. That was a very big injury, I think to his shin or something in his leg. And it'll be interesting to see how he fits in along Cole Palmer and Nicholas Jackson for this Chelsea team. Then we have Jordan Pickford and Bernd Leno. They're both really good goalkeeper options. Had really good seasons last year. Mo Salah is still Mo Salah, as I said. Don't really have any opinions on Semenyo and Hudson-Odoi. I think Richarlison and Kai Havertz will both be really good as long as they play lots of games. Again, not really have any opinions on the promoted players. And then Erling Haaland, I just think 15 million is a little ridiculous. All right, 14 million is the most for any player all time. This includes legends of the game, like Titi Henry and Cristiano Ronaldo. So I think it's just really, really hard to see him as a whole million more than those players. I could see 14.5 million, maybe, but this seems just like a little bit too much. Well, that's my opinions for the first 20 players of this price release. Drop a subscribe if you like this content, and I'll see you guys next time.